Go ahead.
It's going to be Adam 120120. Adam 120120. Female, last name Scott.
Was clear.
Ladder 2-4. You're trying to medical emergency breathing problem. St. Simeon's Nursing Home, 3701 MLK Junior Boulevard. 3701 Martin Luther King Junior Boulevard. Med patient 70.
I'll be at it 323 and 324 South Walnut, Liver Packets.
10-4, 1910.
The gray Buick Century last seen an hour ago, 1911.
Ladder 26, hazmat. You're responding for reports of a natural gas leak inside an apartment in Savannah Landing, 1101 East 60th Street. 1101 East 60th Street. Med page 1129.
I understand we're going to go to a city council member, Tulsa City Council member. Is it Jamie Fowler? Okay. Jamie, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what you know as far as what's been confirmed.
He said that there's a gas leak in the whole apartment complex. Your map page 1129, apartment map page 112.
Been receiving some intermittent and text and communications, and what I know so far, and this is in District 9 City Council District, so, you know, this is
Yeah, 1080 that way.
For the world that I grew up in and I know very, very well, and I actually, you know, have been in these buildings many, many times. So what I know so far is this, is that there are 4 dead, confirmed dead, and one of those is the shooter, and they took their own life, and there is 3 innocent bystanders that have lost their life. And you know, first and foremost is that I think we can speak for everyone here in the city, is that, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to those 3 victims, and our police forces. Has been trained,
enter the building, and we're
for
be searching the first floor, 3rd floor, and 4th floor, just rechecking. Once they've completed their search, they're going to come back down to the 1st floor.
See Lisa McClish at room 115. She said Otis locked her out of her room. Otis is a friend that stays with her. The room is in the caller's name. No other description or information. Card back.
Fucking Otis. Come on, Otis. Well, you gotta be like this.
We are back in service from this run.
and we will be out of service to the fire station.
So Salty, what?
Backer.
Thanks for dropping by.
Adam 305 and quarterback, check on the well-being. 3222 East Exiler. 3222 East Exiler, straight break.
We should have
Adam 301.
better circumstances.
Adam 305.
Adam 305, Adam 301. Called in by Veronica Dodson. She wants you to check on the well-being of her brother, Scott Burton. He's possibly 85. Said he's been having issues all day. Now she can't get a hold of him. She wants officers to check on the well-being and make sure he's okay and leave a disposition on J. John. It's 1915.
Harry 121, both units 97.
10-4.
His contact will not be listed.
1916.
I mean,
Yeah, I'll head to you.
I can't imagine it
Sir.
wasn't self-inflicted.
Are you needing the cage? Not necessarily. Yeah, I'll head over there. I want to keep you guys available for calls.
Huh.
Frank 107, Frank 107, quarterback, to check well-being. The house 9412 East 97th Street, 9412 East 97th Street.
Frank 102.
I think they already cleared. There's an
Frank 107.
F-150 parked with
Frank
hazards
107,
on.
Frank 102. Hair color Pete's not going to be seen. It's for Mother Cindy. The mother has very stressed today, was arguing with the neighbors, requesting disposition be left. It's 1917.
Engine 1. Assist citizen with lifting. 1001 North Cleveland Avenue. Timeout 1917 hours.
One 1240 East 131st Street, 11240 East 131 Street, right?
Henry.
Okay, this is where the burglary occurred. The owner, Todd, is going to be at 13204 South Garnett, 13204 South Garnett Road, right? I guess he also owns the other property. The suspects were two white females. We don't have a vehicle description, just a tag number of John Union 493. John Union 493, right?
This, and it could have been even worse, but you know, this is what I know so far.
I guess
This is
he caught them in the house.
The
he caught them
most
coming through the front. It's going to be a vacant house. He's not sure if they took anything. He said he made contact with them with his gun in his hand, right?
Yay, more
John
guns.
Union 443 looks like it checked to a black Volvo to a Julie Morgan at 2234 East 56th Place in Tulsa, 1919.
up-to-date briefing that I've gotten on this.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And again, Jamie Fowler, Tulsa City Councilor, confirming 4 people dead, including the gunman. The gunman died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This
I'm
is
clear from the scene. 645.
Self-inflicted. Okay.
Copy,
So they're saying it was
645.
5 dead.
That's affirmative.
So the one in critical condition passed.
On GeoSafe, it shows the EIS went the wrong direction.
Ladder 26 copies in service on the radio.
Copy, ladder 26 in service on radio.
How many people out there right now that want to know what you can do to support St. Francis Health System? One thing for you right now. I would ask for you to think about what the St. Francis Health System and the people that work there mean to our community, what they mean to you and your family and your neighbors.
Keep missing the police chatter.
105, same track.
105, okay.
In the midst of this tragedy. I also want to express our community's profound gratitude for the broad range of first responders who did not hesitate today to respond to this act of violence.
Oh, is that a dig at
Men and women of the Tulsa Police Department did not hesitate.
They actually went in,
when you
huh?
look around today, you see personnel
Before
from
the
federal
address
law
given was
enforcement,
the Army's address.
the Tulsa Sheriff's Office, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, the Tulsa Fire Department, EMSA. They are all here to provide the support and their own skill set that they can bring to support the people who work on this campus. And all of us in Tulsa have a responsibility to do the same. Thank you. We'll turn it back to Chief Daglish for any questions that you might have.
Mayor, while you're up there,
Interesting that he points out that there was no hesitation.
could we get your response?
Yeah.
I mean, we're now
We're
in
not signing you back out. You
12
might
of
want to read
cities
it
that
for
had to
us.
deal with something like this. What is your response to what happened here?
Right now, my thoughts are with
This
the
is
victims
Celia,
in here, many of whose families
Hispanic
don't even
male,
know about this yet.
and another
So if we
Hispanic
want to
male,
have
17,
a
wearing black
policy
hoodie,
discussion, that is something to be had in the
The
future,
subjects
but not
are staring
tonight.
at her and holding
Not
a
tonight.
gun and a knife. Caller says this happened because of an argument with their kids.
Do we know if
Your
the
caller
victims
standing
were
in her front
employed
doorway with a machete. She's also speaking
patients?
with security now. 1922.
From what we
That
do
sounds
know,
about right.
it could be a combination both of employees and visitors.
Do we know if he was a patient?
We do not.
Everything that's happened recently,
What are you talking
is he
about?
wearing body armor?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, you
that
mean
has
like
not
them?
been mentioned.
This
Chief, you
stuff
said he
in the
had
back?
2 weapons with him, a pistol of some sort and a long gun. Do we know which weapon or both weapons? What did he
Because this isn't my stuff.
It appears both weapons at one point or another were found
This is just right off of the site.
on the scene.
Do we have any reason to believe he was targeting anybody specifically?
This is their
We
site.
don't have that yet.
Oh, okay.
Investigators, the building not long before we came down here was officially secured, and homicide and crime scene detectives were just making their way in. So all of the investigation and investigative portions and those types of questions are just getting looked into right now.
Can
you talk about what's on that second floor?
I don't have the. There is an orthopedic center, or orthopedic office there, but I'm unaware of if that occupies the whole floor or if there are other offices.
7849.
You know if that's where this happened, that orthopedic surgery?
At least part of the scene. Mm-hmm.
Is everybody, cleared out of the closets, the cubbies? And
Yeah, they've gone floor to floor, office to office, and has gathered keys from St. Francis and have essentially cleared. And we utilized officers from those other agencies as well to help get that job done. There was one witness, potential victim, that was found late in the process, locked in a closet. So worth their efforts to make sure that was very methodically done.
How long was this shooter active from the first shot to him inflicting a wound on?
There was a 3-minute response, so I don't know how long the call took to come in, but it appears as though the whole thing was a 4-minute or so time span from the time it came in to the time officers made contact, 4 to 5 minutes.
And all the gunfire occurred in that same area on the second floor, as far as we know?
The best we believe right now.
Do we know who called?
I do not.
after everything that happened last week, was active shooter training refreshed on y'all's mind? And this was just almost second nature for you?
Yeah, I think that's probably fresh on everyone's minds. I will say Tulsa revisits that topic regularly. So I was very happy with what we know so far regarding the response of our officers. And as the mayor mentioned, the citizens of Tulsa, I think, should be proud. This parking lot was difficult to get to for some of those officers who were here just minutes after it came in. It was difficult due to the amount of cars that had responded from all sides of town. And then federal agencies, I believe every federal agency is represented.
Uh-oh.
Dealt with the scene. So the response, I cannot overstate how proud I am of the area response to this incident.
Do you believe he acted alone?
We're going to have a press conference tomorrow.
Yep.
We're still unpacking a lot of this. We can ask questions all night.
I've got a question for Dr. Roberts. That's okay.
If you want to answer the question, sure you can, or else we can wait till tomorrow.
We don't know. We are still trying to confirm his identity, and the intelligence and the investigative side will take off after that.
Do we know if there's any
There'll be no more questions today. We'll have a press conference tomorrow. We'll get you all the information you need. Thank you.
Yes.
All done.
Thank you, Brother Not.
Wrapping up a news conference on this shooting that happened at the Natalie building. Interesting additional details. 4:52, the original call came in. 3-minute response time from Tulsa police officers. By 5:01, they had made contact with victims and the suspects, and the officers then heard shots on the second floor and realized that's where this was happening.
Yes, and unfortunately what we've learned now is there is an additional victim that we did not have confirmed earlier. So that is 4 victims killed, and then of course the active shooter who it is that police say died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They're not releasing obviously his name yet, but they say he's a man around 35 or 40 years old, had a rifle with him and a handgun. They say both weapons appeared to have been fired. They said one victim was found a little bit later than the others because that person was locked in a closet. Now, with the help of other agencies, that entire building has been cleared, and those people are being moved over to Memorial High School to be reunited with their family and friends. And the address for that is 5840 South Hudson, because many people don't live in Tulsa and don't know where that is. It's over by LaFortune Park, so 5840 South Hudson. If you have a loved one who was in that building and you need to be reunited with them. So now, Craig, something separate that we've learned recently from Muskogee police is that they are shooting, they are at a scene in Muskogee at a home where they have been notified by Tulsa police that there was possibly some type of an explosive device over in a home at Park Place North. We do not know yet if that is connected to our shooting scene, but we are looking into that. We are asking both Muskogee police and Tulsa police what this situation is, but they are asking people in Muskogee to please avoid this area because it is now an active scene in that area. So reports from Tulsa police to Muskogee police that there could be an explosive device in a home there. So please avoid that area. We do have a crew headed there as well, and we will find out if indeed that is connected to the active shooting situation that we've had here today.
I want to point out that the Governor Kevin Stitt has been in contact with Mayor G.T. Bynum to express his condolences and offer any state resources that are needed. So I wanted to pass that new information along to you.
And we know the President of the United States has been
Biden's
briefed as well. Yes. And when St. Francis talked to here, President Biden has been briefed. There's the information. They are closely monitoring the situation and offering their support. And of course, St. Francis said that they have 10,000 people in their work family, and that as the most important thing that they need right now is prayer, because obviously their family has been under attack, and we know there are some innocents killed. Police are not saying yet who they are, but said it's a combination perhaps of people who work there in the Natalie building as well as some people who were there as patients. So obviously it's going to be a process to notify those families, and before they release any names, either the suspect's name or the victims in this case, and then certainly they will be backtracking. Where Where has that suspect been in the last hours and days leading up to this? What could be a possible motive in this case? And what could lead someone to choose violence as a way to solve their grievance?
Deputy Chief Eric Daglish, who you saw just a moment ago, said Tulsa police officers responded from all sides of town to this emergency. And of course, Dr. Cliff Robertson, the CEO of St. Francis, thanked police and other first responders in responding to what he calls a senseless, horrible act. Mayor G.T. Bynum also said that first responders did not hesitate to respond bit to this crisis. So he's very proud.
Could be, disgruntled employee. Could be. They don't even know the identity of the shooter yet. So it could also be someone who was like, oh, my parent was receiving care here and they died. Or I was receiving care here and it's not gotten any better.
And now they have to go through this.
A plethora of
Deputy
things.
Chief Eric Daglish, also said that this appears to have been from the 911 call until we knew that the shooter was no longer a threat, a 4 to 5 minute event. It's, it doesn't seem like long. Obviously, it's very fast.
Dude, I gotta commend him. Do I want to see a news article or anything pop up in my feed saying that there was another shooting in the United States? No. But if I gotta see it, this is the response that I want. They showed up as quickly as they could. Immediately, they recognize that there's a threat. They immediately address it. Go in, talk to people. Where's he at? We hear the shots. We go there. And we end it immediately. This is what everyone wanted to happen in Uvalde. I don't know how you say that. I'm guessing Uvalde. But that is the big criticism. What the fuck were you doing standing outside there for 40 to 50 minutes? Less than a week later, just about a week later, we have the same situation. Those guys are like, yeah, we're not going to do it like those Uvalde guys. They go in immediately, and the whole thing is settled in 5 minutes from start to finish, like from start to not even being on scene, from like reports of there is an issue here, you need to get here, to finished 5 minutes later. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I think that entire department needs a very critical eye. It needs to be looked at very closely, because I just was wrestling in my mind. I'm like, how can I look in the eyes of parents and tell them, you can't go in, I'm not going in, and we're waiting for backup? How do you not just say, screw this job, and run in and do what you signed up for? Like, I signed up to save lives, to stop crime, to, get the bad guy. Hopefully those are the ideals that you're kind of going in with, and then to just say, hey, we're in the situation. We're in the situation that we signed up for this job for. There's a real bad guy. There's literally helpless human beings in there. Beyond helpless. They're small, they're stupid. Kids are dumb. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what to do, how to react. You're in the exact situation that we have police for. And you stand outside and say, I'm going to punish the parents for giving two shits about their kids. Oh, goodness gracious, yes. Yeah, sue the city, sue the police department. I mean, sue whatever you got to do. Whatever you sue, hopefully they put the pressure on the police department, because they're the cause.
Now that's a very
being under fire
scene, as you can imagine, going into a home searching for a possible explosive device.
What is it? 8 days later we are, and we see this, and we don't know. I guess we don't know for certain if he ended the conflict himself, or if police ended it for him. But what we can see, or what I can get from what they're saying, is that they actually responded, though. Not only did they show up, they entered the building, and they were like, what's going on? Hey guys, we're the police. We have Kevlar, we have guns, we have training. We have, you know, a duty. And then, you know, where's the shooter? We're here to protect you guys from him. And they're like, hey, this is what we know. And then while they're on scene, they're like, oh, hey, we hear it. We're going to go towards the gunfire. That's what I want from my police force. Those are the badasses that are running towards the gunfire, because that's where the action is that they need to be at. Not sitting outside, quote unquote, waiting for backup. Three mass shootings. Yeah, not the right colors. Well, we had that. We also this is the similar body count to the grocery store one. That guy was going after specifically any non-white folks. Yeah, all those guys are tired enough to be shit on for 2 years. Yeah, and all we have left are the power abusers and the racists.
Potential victims.
I mean,
know we're now.
It's a rough statement to make. I've had a lot of good interactions with cops.
To get answers earlier in the day.
I just cannot. There's no way I can spin it to defend the actions of those dudes in Uvalde. And I've definitely had one or two bad interactions with cops. I mean, like any job, there's good and bad. I can't. And there's anytime there's a human that's sitting behind that desk to do that job, there's the potential for problems, because humans are problematic. That's what humans are. That Florida cop. Was the Florida one the one where they said, we got the answer to school shootings? So I remember we tried a couple things. We said, hey, we got the answer to school shootings. Arm the teachers. Week one, I believe it was, a teacher left his gun in the bathroom and a student found it. We were like, okay, scrap that. That's not a good idea. Let's just put an armed security guy. You gotta have an armed officer at every school. They'll be the ones to fix it. And then they put this armed guy there. A school shooting happens and he says, I was too afraid to go in. That's your whole job. The whole reason we got you. And it wasn't even like general security and this may happen. It was in response to a school shooting. We're going to place you in a school in case another shooting happens. Like, it wasn't even this might happen, but your job is this. It was like your entire job revolves around the potential for a school shooting to happen. And then it did happen. And he was like, I'm not going to do anything about it. So, and the answer is always more guns, right? And I don't want to get on any side of it, because yeah, we have freedoms in this country. You can do whatever you want. But it's just crazy that we have these problems. People are like, well, let's talk about guns in general. Should we have them, or should we not? Or should we put restrictions on certain things? What should we do about this gun problem? And the answer is either shut up completely and stop talking about taking away my guns, or the alternative, double the guns. Throw more guns at it. Keep throwing guns at the problem until the problem is resolved. And to be fair, that's working. This is a self-resolving issue. If we just keep throwing guns at it, soon enough, there will no longer be operators of guns. You know what I mean? Yeah, if he's the one that stayed outside the school, I think that's the same one where he was put there for that sole reason. It was like, we're going to try this. You're going to be here to respond in case a school shooting happens. So you're not just a school security guard, you're armed, because the intent is for you to engage with a shooter if a shooter happens to start his rampage here. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Psych your mind. I'm not doing that at all.
Victims, one of the people who were shot and injured, Deputy Chief Douglas said, was found in a locked closet. Yeah. kind of late in the situation as police officers were going through this, possible witness as well to give information. Dr. Cliff Robertson, who I mentioned just a moment ago before
and then there's always the argument of like, well, there's always the good guy with the gun. More guns. If we had a good guy with the gun, then they would stop the shooter, right?
Loved ones and victims of this senseless.
And it's like, well, where was that good guy with the gun at the Tops? I think it was a Tops grocery store. I mean, any of these incidents, there's very, very few or none. Like I don't recall. The last time I recall someone like trying to intervene, they just threw their meat at him. Like they didn't have a gun. They just tried to take him down. Just tackle him without a gun.
In this case, they have now cleared the building. We know that people who were in that building, patients.
Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. I can't remember one. There was one here in this town. The Marine. There was a guy trying to hold up a Circle K with a gun, and the Marine drew on him. I don't remember if he shot him or if he just got him to stop. But the Marine did have a gun, drew on him, and that whole thing ended.
We also know that there is also a scene going on in Muskogee. Do we have a live picture yet from the scene?
But yeah, you're right.
Here it is, right here. So this is going on in
and that's why this conversation is so many, like a billion shades of gray. When it's like, we just need to talk about it. There's clear sides. So there's the side clutching their guns saying, no, I don't even want to enter the conversation because I don't want to risk losing my guns. And I think that's a ridiculous notion. There's no way anyone can go to every single home in the United States and ask for your guns.
Tell that motherfucker I appreciate him.
You smart.
Smart.
You very smart. We the best. You a genius.
Oh, you a genius, then you loyal.
I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you.
You loyal. I changed a lot. You can too. Win, 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 no matter what. Them doors that was closed, I ripped the doors off and took the hinges off. And when I took the hinges off, I put the hinges in the boy's hands. Yeah, in the boy hands. You know, I took the whole door off and the hinges and I put it in the boy's hands. You can put the hinges on the hands too. Never give up, never surrender. Put this money in your savings account. Buy your mama a house. Buy your whole family houses.
Great shit. Thank you, Pred.
He's getting Mackenzie.
Well, Craig, people want answers. They just want to know what led up to this. Why is this happening? What is going on, right? So I'm going to show you officers are still here. First responders are still here. And they're working on getting that information. But that doesn't take away from the fact that people are just scared, overall worried about how something like this could happen and worried about their family and friends and, you know, anyone who was in that building, whether if they were there as a patient and they're working or just maybe delivering food. You know, it's a very scary situation for these family, friends, and loved ones. We spoke to many people today.
I agree, and not to minimize that point, but when the question of how can this happen, have you been living under a rock? This has been our daily, man.
Them to pull over, or they were locked down in their actual office that's kind of nearby, and they say this is just really jarring, right? Because usually you see things like this on TV. You read about it in newspapers, but right now, these people kind of live this in the moment. They were in a lockdown across the street, asked not to move, just stay in place until they figure out what everything was going on.
Lots
of people say they really do appreciate this quick response from TPD. That's something that we've been talking about all evening. You know, TPD is out here. They called all of their units. A lot of people out here trying to just really get some answers and speak to these people. And that doesn't really take away from the fact that these witnesses are concerned. We actually spoke to one witness who said she saw a family member, a friend, kind of just pleading with police, let me know what's going on, let me know. But we spoke with one man who knew somebody inside.
ringer.
He's a very close friend. Me and my friend here, we met in the Army, and we look at our friend in the hospital like little brother, and we're always looking out for him. So we're obviously checking in with him on the phone. It sounds like he's not being able to leave right now.
Rob
So
Deerdeck.
we're hoping he could get out here pretty soon.
But you know
and,
he's
and be
okay.
safe. Yeah, he is safe right now. So we're just praying that he stays that way.
I knew somebody either got killed, something was serious. It was just cops coming from everywhere.
Those nails! What the hell?
We couldn't leave. And they said it's an active shooter or something like that. They said he's down, but they also said there's a lot of people injured, and it's just crazy. I mean, it's a doctor's office. Like, you really can't go nowhere no more. That was something happened, and it's just crazy. So.
Really
What the hell's
impressed with
going on with those?
the response from our local authorities. This is incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and as you hear from these people who kind of watch this all go down, you can understand their concerns and everything that they're worried about right now. Even the man who had a friend inside, now that we know everyone who was inside that building has been shuttled to Memorial High School. So if for any reason you're still kind of wondering about a loved one inside, if what's going on, those answers are going to be at Memorial High School. We have a team over there who's bringing the latest coverage there. But just in case, that address is 5840 South Hudson Ave. That's where you're going to go to find any information about anyone you may known in that building, a family, a friend, anything. That's where you're going to find that information. So one more time, Memorial High School, 5840 South Hudson Ave. All right, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Mackenzie, thank you very much. Again, Mackenzie brought up the response time and everybody, complimenting and the police department. 3-minute response time to this.
Yeah, dude.
They
Awesome.
responded from all parts of the city, 3 minutes. So the initial call came in at about 4:52. By 5:01, Tulsa police officers made contact with victims and the shooter, and officers heard shots at that point on the second floor.
Right, so they can hear the shots fired. They race up to the second floor, and fortunately, that's where they found victims who had already been killed, and then the suspect who had shot and killed himself, according to police. It wasn't until later, when they were clearing the building, they found the final victim, who had been locked in a closet. I'm sure we're going to be hearing stories from those officers who had cleared the building that people were hiding in offices, under a desk, in bathrooms, in conference rooms, trying to get away. We heard from a woman who works in the building across the street, and she says, of course, at St. Francis, they practice active shooter drills, as unfortunately most businesses have to do in this day and age. And
So
she
we should be
said
doing
in a
in my
lot of
job.
cases, the lights automatically dim, and some of the doors automatically lock. So one of the viewers was saying, if the doors automatically lock, how did the police get in? But as we know, in this case, they were able to get in and get to the second floor and get to those victims and find the shooter without any issues. Now, I have covered cases where they do go through locked doors to get to a shooter. So they are trained for that and have equipment for that. We've even covered devices that they use to make it through a locked door. So one viewer was asking about that, because yes, in some ways that can be good, lock the doors and keep people away from the shooter, but then what do you do when law enforcement's trying to get there? And they prepare for that, they train for that, and have devices and tools to help them if they do encounter that situation.
And then when they were doing their search, and this is a part of this search that happened where officers with guns drawn were searching the roof just to make sure there was not another gunman. But when they went door to door, office to office, they were supplied with keys from St. Francis Health System to enable them to better respond and
they
do
have to
that
use a
very
key.
methodical search, a very careful search to make sure they could find anyone who was injured or to eliminate the possibility of a second suspect.
They got to get in
And
there.
once
They're
that
going to
was
get in
done,
there.
They started releasing those folks, giving them an opportunity to be shuttled over to Memorial High to be reunited with their families. Let's go to News on 6's Reagan Ledbetter. He's on scene as well.
Here's footage of an officer
Reagan,
using a
give
key.
us the latest information that you've been working to gather.
Yeah, Craig and Lori, here on scene right now, we're seeing a lot of the police cars, a lot of FBI, U.S. Marshals starting to head out of here right now. They've cleared the building, working on getting everybody that's inside out of the building. But as you guys are kind of talking about, everybody wants to know who and why, but really all we know right now from that update from police is really what happened. And the new information that we got, as you guys have said, is a fifth person died. Now, Tulsa police tells me that person died either at the hospital or while they were being transported away from this
that was
area.
the critical condition one.
But again, quick response time was kind of the message we got from Tulsa Police. 3 minutes. Police officers were able to get here and get up to that area on that second floor. We've also learned that the second floor is where this happened, and that was an orthopedic and sports medicine an office there. We learned the gunman came in with a rifle and a handgun and shot 4 people, and then Tulsa police believe that he then shot himself. We've also learned they're going to have a updated news conference tomorrow morning with the same speakers we heard from a little bit ago, the CEO of St. Francis.
I really wouldn't be surprised if you heard from some of those officers speaking candidly that, damn, it sucks that he self-deleted because we wanted a piece of him. For how fast they got there, it feels like they were real aggressive, like they wanted that guy.
Be put in a situation like this where they're there to help people, and then someone walks in with 2 guns and starts firing off shots. So we can just sense the frustration and anger and pain in his voice. But we'll have updates coming up shortly. Back to you guys.
All right, Reagan, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I wonder what that motive was.
Being there and your hard work as well. We have crews spread out all across the area covering this breaking news situation again, where 4 innocent people killed. The gunman shot and killed himself.
That's right. So Bob Roloff has been there since pretty close to when it happened, and he is a retired Tulsa police officer, one of our storm trackers now. And Bob, let's talk about this response time, because even as fast as officers got there, unfortunately, there are 4 innocent victims. But let's talk about how fast this response time was, almost 3 minutes, and that was in rush hour traffic.
Yes, this is probably as good a response as you can get. And you got to think 3 minutes is a very long time when a person is shooting. Many of the shootings are in the first minute or 2.
We're following the breaking news out of Tulsa.
We were discussing earlier about making sure what we're saying to the public is accurate. We discussed ambulances leaving out of here. Well, there was such a quick response from everybody, they were able to clear ambulances that were here. And those ambulances, I found out after the fact, were going to other emergencies. So the overall response from all of our services here today was just outstanding. Unfortunately, it wasn't quick enough to save, the people that were shot. But officers heard shots being fired. And so one has to ask, did the guy shoot himself? Hearing the officers making entry into the area, knowing that his time was up. And, we'll never know the answer to that, but we have to thank everybody for going in, going after the individual.
Boy, no doubt about it. Bob, thank you very much. We appreciate your insight and your work today as well.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Of course, as we've been talking about the training here at Tulsa Police for all the officers, not just members of the Special Operations Team, who is highly trained, but the training is here in Oklahoma. When there's an active shooter call, you don't wait, you go in immediately. Because as we know from these cases across the country, most people are killed in an active shooter situation in the first 3 to 5 minutes. And that appears to be the case here as well, since officers...
Where's Casey Kidd, bro? That's all he's been harping on is training, training, training. And it's being reiterated here.
They're going toward there. So a very fast response. Bob has a good point. Will we ever know exactly what caused the shooter then to end his own life? Is it because he knew authorities were there? Had he finished what he went there to do? We're just not going to know. There's so
For sure. I mean, I'm watching my police scanner app because it's like gangbusters over here. Past couple weeks, it's been nuts. We had the cops shooting not too long ago. Then we had Uvalde. Now this. It's crazy. And yeah, so I mean, it's just like the effort has to grow in blowing over, because that's always the effort. It's like, let's just thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers as much as we need to until we stop talking about this and just move on and not change anything. Whether that has to be like increased training for us to just expect shootings now because that's our new norm, or whether we even entertain the idea of talking about gun control. None of these like even the slightest thing is not really entertained that much, and then we just kind of coast along until we forget about it, and then it happens again, and then we're like, oh no, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Are we done? Okay, move on. back to my swim lessons. You know, back to my college economics course. Can't really afford to care long term. Come on.
Informed about the mass shooting in Tulsa, Governor Kevin Stitt has offered Mayor G.T. Bynum any support as well.
I'll only be on for a couple more minutes.
Word spreads across the nation and the world about this shooting. Grant Stevens joins us right now. Grant, we just have
and that's why I say, like, we at least need to start the conversation. The answer is, and rest assured, the answer is not to come take your guns. Keep your guns. You're fine. But we do need to, like, maybe think twice about selling to these 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that turn around and make stupid 16, 17-year-old decisions. I mean, that's the time in your life where you make stupid decisions and you do stupid shit and you get in bad trouble and people give you a break because he's so young, he's got the rest of his life. I did stupid shit too when I was that age. So let's fix him, let's teach him what's right and wrong and get him back on his feet and then let him go back out into the world with this experience behind him. He's got it under his belt and now he knows. But when we're allowing 16, 17, 18-year-olds to make these catastrophically bad decisions with access to tools that can take that bad decision and make it catastrophic for a whole lot of other people as well, it kind of puts them beyond saving, because there's a lot of these times where it's like, I want to do something drastic because it's a cry for help. I want attention. I want, my parents never looked at me. The only time I ever get attention is when it's negative attention. So that's why I act out and I do stupid shit. Okay, you can do that a bunch of times and people are going to take notice. And, maybe someone will try to reach out and help you, or maybe you'll eventually get the help you need. But when we give them access to these tools of destruction, it's like, go ahead and make that bad decision. It'll be the last one you ever make. We're letting them go out and be stupid teenagers with life-changing and life-ending tools at their disposal. So back when it was like, oh yeah, you can go out and do dangerous shit and make bad decisions, but you're not going to have access to anything lethal like that. The most you're going to have access to is maybe a knife or a bat or something. And we get this gang violence where people get injured, they go to the hospital, and it's like, oh man, you almost died there. You should turn your life around. And they can make that call at that time. But with these, it's like, nah, are you feeling sad today? Okay. That's it. Today's the last day.
On this tragic and terrible, sad day in Tulsa, Oklahoma, coming up tonight at 9 and 10.
I mean, that's the same, Run, Jump, Hug, that's the same with serial killers as well. And I would be interested in seeing a study across other types of bad behavior. So, like rapists or other, any other type of violent crime. They have a poor home life, poor upbringing, because that seems to be the commonalities. Terrible home life equals possibility, not guaranteeing, but possibility that you could just turn it around and inflict that pain on others as well. But hearing a lot of stories from coworkers and stuff, I am kind of more a believer in nature over nurture. Because I've seen too many of these where it's like, I have 4 kids. 3 of them are mine, and they're angels just like I was. And one of them's adopted, and he's a complete degenerate, just like his birth parents. We love him, and we take care of him. But I can see a clear difference in the choices that he makes in life versus my kids. $50 million in the country, yep. That's true. That's true. It's a numbers game. Yeah, so for sure, like, for as many billions of people are on the planet, there's gonna be some psychos, right? You can't have how many population of planet Earth for almost 8 billion people. You can't have 8 billion perfect angels, 8 billion respectable citizens of society. You're definitely going to have some psychos, some killers, some degenerates, some sexual deviants, etc., 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 etc. The complete, it's just a spectrum. It's because that's humanity. Humanity is a spectrum, and people exist on both sides of it and all along the in-between. So yeah, man, I get you for sure. The problem that we see is like, okay, yeah, that's a numbers game. We can easily see that some people are going to be fucked up. How do we protect ourselves against the few that are fucked up? Because I'm willing to venture a guess that the 4 people that this dude killed maybe weren't sexual deviants, maybe weren't degenerates, maybe weren't also like the shit stains of society. And also not to say that about this gunman. I mean, there's a lot of, yeah, that's not a good thing to do. I don't know what his story is. Some people are like, I just want the fame. Other people are like, I don't care anything about the fame, the news, any of that. I specifically wanted to kill these 4 people because those 4 people wronged me in a very egregious way, and that's what they deserve. So we don't know. We don't know any of this stuff. But I think that's the big question is like, no matter what their motivations are, how do we protect ourselves against anyone, whether it's a good reason or not, that wants to take up arms against the innocence of our country? And does that mean that we arm everyone? So you're never going into an unfair fight? Or does that mean the opposite? And those are the extremes. Those are the extremes of the sides. Those ones like, oh, guns are bad. All guns are bad. Get rid of all guns. Burn them all down. And on the other side is like, well, guns are awesome. Guns are not the problem. They're the solution. Throw more guns at it. And I think both of those are wrong. But if we can focus on at least the one thing that's right here, it's holy shit. The response time of these police officers, bravo. And again, we don't have all the information, so maybe something can come out and I'll put my foot in my mouth. But that is what from what I've seen here, what I've heard, this is the response that I want from my boys in blue. Not what we saw in Uvalde. Yeah, no guns as long as everyone else disarms before me. You put yours down first, and then I'll lower mine. Which is why I think that's a ridiculous sentiment. It's just not going to happen. They have programs where they're like, you can come turn your guns into the police station, and we'll give you like a buyout. We'll buy them from you, or a voucher. So there's some sort of incentive to give us your guns. But it's all voluntary. That's if you want to, great. But there's simply no way in the United States, as it stands now, that anyone could feasibly, systematically go home to home and collect guns. The people who signed up for that job would be found dead in the first couple days. I mean, go to anyone's home and ask them to give up their guns and see how that goes for you. Yeah, dude. Yeah, the size, population, the Constitution. Yeah, it's simply not going to happen. Which is why I laugh. I used to, when I worked at Lowe's, people were like, "Oh, this Obama, you watch out, dude. You listen to me. He's going to come take our guns." Like, dude, if you think that anyone, whether Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter, anyone that sits, like anyone, period, but especially the President of the United States, if you think they could say, and then follow up on that action or that statement, if you think they could say, I'm going to take your guns, I'm going to disarm America, and get away with it, you're fucking stupid. You're the stupidest person I've met today, minimum, if you think this. There's simply no possible way. And furthermore, do you think that guy would be president long? How long do you think he would last as president of the United States saying, I'm going to disarm America, I'm coming for your guns, Americans? That guy would be impeached, found guilty, removed from office so fucking fast. Faster than he can get shot. So the amount of people that truly believe this, that came into the store truly believing that someone was going to show up, like perhaps Barack Obama himself, knocking on their door, saying, hello, Joe Smith. Yeah, I see in my documents that you've got an assault rifle. I'm here to take that. How fucking delusional are you to believe this? But they do. It's fear mongering, and that's that's how a lot of shit gets done. That's how a lot of shit gets voted on. I think is, hey, do you want this guy to take your guns? No? Well, then vote for me. That type of shit. It's like, dude, there's no way that that's gonna happen, and it actually speaks against the person who's saying this. You're preying on the lack of education of some of these folks. On the left half of the bell curve. Yeah, dude, it's wild to me that anyone can be on the extreme either side. Because so many of the issues that are being discussed are right smack in the fucking middle. There is no clear answer. You want to talk about, like, let's say abortion is a good one. People's like, well, how can you say that they need to be forced to carry a baby like that to term if they're not ready to provide for it? What if it's born in poverty? They don't care about it, and then they abuse the child. Why would you want that? What if they were sexually assaulted, or should they be forced to carry that baby to term? And then the other side's like, nope, murder's murder, murder's murder. It's a life. Life's a life. That's murdering. And, oh, well, you have the option of carrying to term and then giving up for adoption. That's an option. It's like, it's so easy. And in both sides, it's like, dude, it's just not that easy. You have to acknowledge that, yeah, this is killing something. But on the other side, you have to acknowledge that maybe they don't want that baby. Maybe the baby's better off not being born. And then the one of the arguments that I laugh at is like, oh, you're pro-life no matter what. What if the baby's gay? What if you know the baby's going to come out gay? Then what do you feel? Kill it now, burn it with fire. We hate the gays. And it's just like, again, none of this is black or white. All of humanity exists in the gray area. And sometimes we just have to go with the lesser evil. Yeah, I mean, and again, I as well, I'm pro-choice, but I acknowledge that, yeah, you're killing something. But on the flip side, I think even at the basis of that argument, it's like, how much do you value human life? We're told over and over and over again that human life is so valuable. But that's kind of like, where in the world are you? Because in China, it's not. People die every day. It's like, you know, we don't need safety precautions and shit. People die in construction work and whatever. And I see these videos all the time. They're just like, oh man, there goes Jimmy. So even that's an argument to be had. What is the value of human life? Is it so valuable that you can't sacrifice pre-life for the quality of life for the person who's about to bear that life? I don't know. Anyways, we're getting kind of off topic. Let's wrap it up. This was the Natalie Building, Tulsa shooting. Maybe I'll get back on in a couple minutes and play a game. We'll see. I don't know yet. But thanks for joining me. I wish I didn't have so many opportunities to jump on and show the police chatter feed for yet another shooting. It sure, hey existing, hey reality. It should be fucking nice if I didn't have the opportunity to jump on and do yet another stream with the police chatter about a fucking shooting. Stop it! Quit it!
Our caller lives across the street from an elderly person.
All right.
Said there's a gray 4-door hatchback in the drive that he's
Find
never
someone to
seen
raid.
before.